I want to show you another color correction tool that we have here inside Photoshop. This guy's called Hue Saturation, and I really like this guy. I use this guy quite a bit. Now, before I show you this, what I'd like you to do is hit F12 on your keyboard, and of course that will revert your view.jpg file back to the original state. So in other words, it'll wipe out that brightness contrast command that you and I just applied in the previous exercise. And with our original image in place, let's go and take a look at Hue Saturation. So once again, I'm going to head up to the Image menu and then down to Adjustments and then look for Hue Saturation. Or if you like, you can hit Command U or Control U there on the PC side if you like. And here's our dialog box. So as you can see here, we're getting progressively more complex. So instead of 2 sliders, now we have 3 sliders. So inside the Hue Saturation dialog box, we have our Hue Slider, we have our Saturation Slider, and our Lightness Slider. Now let me try and explain exactly how this works. What's cool about this dialog box, by the way, is you can use him for proper color correction, but you can also use him to create some pretty wild special effects. So what the Hue Slider does, essentially, is moves me around on the color wheel. Remember the color wheel from high school art class? Well, I'm essentially moving around on that color wheel by dragging on the Hue Slider. So if I want some kind of an alien world look to my photograph, I can do it if that's what I want. Or maybe I want to punch up the greens a little bit, or maybe I want to pull the greens back a little bit, you know, this kind of thing. I can move between the different colors using the Hue Slider. Now in the real world myself, I might do just a little bit of movement on the Hue Slider, maybe more into the blues there just to punch up my greens a bit, but not too much. And then the Saturation Slider controls the amount of color. So again, if I want to increase the saturation of the greens inside my image, I could crank up the Saturation Slider, something like this. And of course now I'm getting really almost into, you know, an over-contrasted look. Or I could pull the color back just a little bit by dragging my Saturation Slider to the left. And then finally I have my Lightness Slider, and all the Lightness Slider does is increases or decreases the amount of black inside my image. So if I drag my slider to the left, I'm increasing the amount of black, drag them to the right, and I'm increasing the amount of white inside my image. Now normally myself, again, unless I have something that's maybe a little overexposed or something, I won't mess too much with the Lightness Slider, maybe just a bit of a minor movement on my part. So, you know, I'll try and kind of set this up how I would actually do this in the real world. Maybe something like that. The color looks kind of punchy to me. It looks pretty good. Something like that. So there's our Hue Saturation. Again, I've got my preview checkbox. There's our before and our after. Looks 10 times better to me. I still don't like that sky though. I think I might have to sub in some clouds there or something, but anyway. And of course, don't forget, I can always hold down Alt or Option, and I've got that reset option there as well. So whether you want to click on OK at this point to commit your changes, again, on a permanent basis, or if you want to stay and fiddle around inside the dialog box for a few minutes, you're more than welcome. Myself, I'm going to cancel out of this guy because I want to show you something a little bit different next, something called the histogram inside Photoshop, and this will lead us into more intermediate and into some advanced color correction.